Hello again, lovely Year 2s. Welcome to day 3 of our science learning. I'm Mrs. Davis and thank you for joining me again today. Let's jump straight in to a game of ours. Wrong one, there we go, where we are going to have a go to start off with today at guessing the animal that I am thinking about. So I'm going to give you some clues and I want you to use your previous learning to try and work out what the animal is. So I might drop in some words about the different types and groups of animals as well, and give you some hints about those, so that should hopefully help you. Right, should we get going? So the first one is this. I am the tallest but not the heaviest land mammal. Oh, so it's a mammal. Remember that? Warm-blooded, possibly got some fur or hair. I have a long neck to pluck leaves off the high trees. Oh, I reckon you might have a guess now. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Well done. A giraffe. Yeah, fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful animals. And they are a mammal. Right, should we have a look at the next one? Right. There are over 31,000 known species of me. Oh, species. That was one of our words that we came in. We said species is like a group of. So species of me. So 31,000. Oh, that could be quite a few things. Should we get another clue as well? I think we need one, don't we? Oh, I breathe with gills. Oh, what type of animal breathes using their gills? What group of animal does that fall into? And I have scales that cover me and I swim using my fins. What are you reckoning? What do you reckon? What are there loads of maybe that we could, loads of? So it's definitely in the fish, isn't it? It is. Yeah, it's a fish. Well done. It is a fish. We can see we've got gills and scales. And they don't have any legs, do they? They use their fins to move and swim around. Right, we've got one more. Should we have a go? I am a reptile. Cold-blooded, remember? Which means I am cold-blooded. I don't have any legs. Do you reckon you know? Do you reckon you know? I lay eggs on land. What do you reckon? What reptile doesn't have any legs? You know. Well done. It's a snake, isn't it? Ooh, scary. Yeah, it's a snake. Well done. Fantastic, guys. Good job. Right, today we are looking at understanding about habitats and microhabitats. Okay, so what we will need for today's lesson. Again, you will need a pen or a pencil and some paper, whether that be in your exercise book or just some regular paper is absolutely fine. So we've got our star words again. So these are words that are going to come up. Like I say, we'll explain, we'll talk about them as they come up, but let's just first of all make sure we can read them. So we've got organism. Oh, that's a funny word, isn't it? But it's organism. Can you say it with me? Organism. Fantastic. Brilliant. And that's that top one there. Now, all down here, we've got species. Now, again, that's just to keep that one there. We're talking about those groups of species. Repeat with me, species. Well done. And we've got habitats. Now, that's obviously a big part of what our lesson was about, habitats and microhabitats. Okay, so we'll be looking all about what those are. And then we've got the word tropical. You might well have heard of that before. You might know what it means, but we will come up. Anyway, it will come up and we will discuss it more. So well done, guys, giving those words a good read and a go. So let's start off with first of all thinking, actually, what is a habitat? So a habitat is a place where an organism lives. Now, an organism is another word for a living thing, including plants and animals, okay? So an organism is another word for a living thing. So instead of saying living thing, we can use the word organism. So a habitat is a place where an organism lives. So organisms can be found in lots of different habitats, while others can only survive in one type of habitat. A habitat must provide everything that an organism needs to survive. Otherwise, the organism will not be able to live there and will die. For example, the habitat may be too hot, too cold, or too dry, or there might not be enough food. Do you remember when we were talking back a couple of lessons ago and we were talking about reptiles, and we were saying about they're cold-blooded and that they need to be somewhere warm because otherwise it's not right for them. They can't heat themselves, so they need to be somewhere warm. So their habitat needs to really be somewhere warm. Oh, right, microhabitats. Can you think of any other words with the word micro in? I can think of a few. Oh, yeah, well done. Microscope, microscopic. Remember, micro means very, very, very small micro. So a microhabitat. So a microhabitat is a very small, specialized habitat, such as a clump of grass or a space between rocks. It's a habitat for an extremely small creature, such as a woodlouse. Have you seen woodlouse before? Sometimes I've got a rock, it's like a rocky stone part in my garden, and sometimes under there, they love to live under. I've got lots of woodlouse. If I knock it, they all come scuttling out. And so, yeah, that would be an example of a little microhabitat there. So a small part of a habitat is a microhabitat. So a microhabitat is its own conditions of temperature and light and its own characteristics of species. Microhabitats include shady areas under a tree and the underside of a rock or in a stream. Okay, so it's a very small habitat. Right, so we're going to find out about some different habitats around the world, all right, and some of the different plants and animals that live there. So we're going to start with the tropical rainforest. Oh, can you imagine it? I can see all the beautiful tall trees. Okay, all the wonderful, colourful wildlife now. So the tropical rainforests are home to gigantic trees, colourful birds, millions of bright insects, and many different mammals. There are more trees in the tropical rainforest than anywhere else in the world. Can you imagine? That'd be amazing to see. These trees are home to lots of animals. Most of them live high up in the branches where they can find food. Can you see an animal there on the side of this screen that definitely you know? A couple of animals maybe would live in a tree. Insects, small birds and frogs feed on the fruit, seeds and leaves of other small creatures. Tree-living lizards, chameleons and snakes feed on smaller animals. Plant-eating mammals such as flying squirrels, monkeys and sloths live in the forest canopy. Meat-eating such as jaguars and leopards hunt in trees to catch prey. Okay, right, next we've got the deserts. Because there is such little water in the desert, not many living things can survive here. Animals and plants that live here are specially adapted to harsh, dry conditions. Many desert plants have leaves that collect and store the water because otherwise they might run out. Since the water is so scarce, and scarce means not easily found, most desert animals get their water from eating those plants or from the blood and the body tissue of their prey. Ooh. So can't really find the water. They can't just go to a lake or a tap. There isn't water easily found in the desert because it's so dry there. So therefore they have to get their water from either plants that collect it in or when they're eating their food from another animal. Some animals like kangaroos and lizards live in burrows which do not get too hot or cold and have damp air inside. These animals stay in their burrows during the hot days and coming out to feed in night. Camels can drink a large amount of water at one time and can survive for as long as 2 weeks without drinking. They have large spread out feet that help them to walk on the soft sand. So camels are really well adapted, which means they're really well suited for the desert and to be able to live in the desert and survive. We as humans wouldn't really do very well in the desert for a long period of time because there isn't the water. We need water. It's very, very, very hot. And it's very, I don't know about you, but it's quite tricky to be walking on sand constantly. So we haven't got those big spread out feet which help us like a camel does. Right, our next one, we've got the oceans. So many kinds of plants grow in the ocean, including seaweed, grasses, algae, and even flowers. The oceans contain all kinds of creatures from giant whales to plankton, so tiny that you need a microscope to see them. Oh, look, there's that micro word, means so tiny. There are more than 20,000 species of fish in the ocean. Fish breathe underwater using special organs called gills. We know that, don't we? Many mammals live in the sea, such as seals, whales, and dolphins. These creatures need to return to the surface to breathe air like we do. So they come back up to the sea. So we've got whales, we've got dolphins, we've got seals. These are all types of mammals because they need to come up and breathe air. They don't have those gills like fish. Some creatures crawl over the bottom of the ocean or burrow beneath it. They include lobster, crabs, prawns, and starfish. Can you spot those things in the picture? I bet you can. Well done. And finally, we've got the Arctic. Now, the Arctic Circle is located at the very top of the Earth. Okay, this is the Earth's obviously is a sphere, it's round. So this is just a picture showing you it from like a bird's eye view, you looking down on it. It is very cold in the Arctic all year round. The only plants that can grow in the Arctic regions, which regions is like a place, are grass and mosses. Trees are not able to grow there because the ground stays frozen all year. In some places in the Arctic, it's too cold for anything to grow at all. There are many land mammals in the Arctic, including ox, reindeer, Arctic foxes, woozles, wolves, polar bears, and brown bears. Seals, walruses, and whales live here and feed from the plankton and fish in the sea. Okay, guys, so there's lots of information there for you. So I just want you to, first of all, just have a little think, like, oh, take that all in, because that was lots of information, and it might be some stuff that you know, some of it might be new. I want you to have a go now at putting where you think some of these animals, which habitat these animals would belong to. Okay, so we've got a meerkat here at the top. We've got a turtle, got an octopus, got an Arctic wolf, got a sloth, got a snowy owl, got a scorpion, got a camel, a reindeer, and you've got a tree frog. Okay, so I'd like you to have a go at, again, put the name of the habitats. We've got rainforest, Arctic, ocean, and desert. Okay, if you want to write those down, and then you can then write the animal, or draw the picture if you like as well, under the habitats heading. So if you think an octopus is going to be in the desert, then you would put the octopus under the desert heading. I'd like you to pause the video and have a go at doing that for me now, please. Okay, welcome back, guys. Fantastic job on what you have done. Some of those needed a little bit of thinking about, a little bit of debate. So what I'd like you to do now is, if you've finished all of that, is if you want to get your marking stuff out, or like get your pencil ready. And again, it doesn't matter if you've got one in the wrong heading, you can just neatly cross it through, or put a little cross next to it and then put it under the right heading. There's lots to have a think about here. Okay, so in the rainforest, we should have a sloth. They are funny animals, a sloth. Sloths, they like to lay in those trees, okay? And they're very slow. And we've got a tree frog, because I think if you remember, they were saying how many trees there are in the rainforest. There's so many, and lots of frogs and other animals live in the trees in the rainforests because they provide everything that they need for them. In the Arctic heading for the habitat, we should have the Arctic wolf. Okay, and they're very good because they're very well adapted, very suited for their environment in the Arctic, because they've got all their nice fur to keep them warm, plus they're warm-blooded mammals, and also they're very light in colour, so they can go unseen in the snow. We've got a snowy owl and a reindeer. In the ocean, under the ocean heading, we should have a turtle and an octopus. And then in the desert, we should have a meerkat. Standing up and looking. Can you do your best meerkat impression? Here is mine. Very good. I like them a lot. A meerkat, a scorpion, and a camel. Super job, guys. Right, I've got one more challenge before I leave you for today's lesson. I would like you to have a go at creating your own habitat, including some animals and maybe even some plants that you might find there. So you could create it, you could draw it. There's a few ideas there for you. However you would like. Choose one. You could choose one of the ones that we've been looking at, so the Arctic or the rainforest or the ocean, or you could choose a different one, a totally different one. You might want to choose a woodland, a wooded area or a forest. You might want to look at thinking about maybe outside in your own gardens or in a park, okay? Or is there animals? Think about the animals that may be round in a town and things like that. So however you would like to present that and do that, that would be great. Just have fun with it and maybe do a little bit of research on what animals and what plants you might want to do a farm even. Okay, so there's lots for you to have a go at and do there. There's a challenge, which might be to even think about including some micro habitats. All right, again, you don't have to make it. You could just do a nice poster. We've got an example here, okay, or just a little drawing, or if you want to write a description, I do not mind. Just be really lovely for your teachers to see what you think, what animals you might find in your habitat. Okay, well done, guys, for today's lesson. Oh, let me come back. Again, an absolute super job. I'm really, really proud of all your hard work, and I will see you tomorrow for some more of our animal learning. Take care. See you then.